everybody. These are the 5 signature scents I rocked since I was 13 up till now. So the very first perfume that I finished a full-size bottle of was Cool Water by Davidoff. And I remember it was after church, and my tito and my tita came up to me, my aunt and uncle, my uncle and my aunt came up to me in the parking lot after mass, and they were like, "Melissa, happy 13th birthday. You're finally a teenager now." And they gave me this gift bag. I open it up, and it's a 30 ml of this bottle of Cool Water. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I have my first perfume. And I wasn't really enamored with the scent because this is a very fresh, synthetic, aquatic sort of fragrance. But I was more in love with the fact that I had a perfume, and this is like a teenage thing. This is a grown thing, you know what I mean? That age jump from 12 to 13 is like, there's, you know, when you're a kid, it's something special, right? So I remember wearing this all the time. I would literally wear this thing all the time. I finished it months before I turned 14. And I remember trying, even though there was barely any juice, I would still try to spray it and nothing would come out. I'm like, come on, shit, like, give me some more. And it wouldn't, because I literally downed that bottle. But funny enough, I never sprayed it on my skin and like rubbed my fragrances in. Even when I was younger, I would just spray it on my clothes and be out the door. But yeah, this scent is, to me, it's reminiscent of when I smell this fragrance on somebody, I'm like, you know how to surf. For some reason, that's the first thing my mind goes to besides myself and even my grandmother, because this is also a fragrance my grandma wore like in the 90s as well. It's by no means an old lady scent, but like, even she's 92 right now, she just wore this nonstop, especially in the Philippines. It's humid, it's hot, so this is a great fragrance for that kind of weather. But yeah, soft place in my heart, Cool Water by Davidoff. The second fragrance I wore maybe between the ages of 14 to 15 was Beyonce Heat. And I remember watching TV and a commercial for it came on, and I was like, Beyonce has a perfume? That looks so cool, you know? So I was at Walmart with my mom, and I was just like looking around the aisles, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, sick. And there was this thing that said, try me. So I smelled it in the air, and I'm like, oh, this shit smells so good. So for Christmas, or I think that day, I was like, Mom, can we get this? And it was $20 or something. And she was like, yeah, sure. You could just throw it in. So I was so ecstatic. I think it was Heat Flame. Beyonce Heat Flame. It was like an orange bottle. And I wore that thing all the time as well, but it only lasted around 20 minutes. You know, the first 10 minutes of that fragrance, I was like, I smell so good. Half an hour later, it's gone. You know, it's a very watered down sort of scent, but nonetheless, I would always wear it. And then for Christmas, my ninang, she's my aunt, but also my godmother, she also gave me a bottle of it because I was finishing those bottles nonstop. So that was from the age of like 14. I know I said 14, 15, maybe 14 to 16, honestly. But between those ages, the 2 fragrances I mentioned, I was never like really enthusiastic about scents. Maybe once in a while I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to smell good, I want to do this. But it was just something that was kind of there. I definitely was not as interested of them as I am now. So fast forward till I'm 25. So this is a big gap from like 17, even 16 to 25, where I was not wearing any fragrances. Nothing about them came to my mind. I would just shower with my Garnier Fructis shampoo, so I smelled like pears all the time, or coconuts, and Dove soap. That is what was working for me. And I was just going on and chilling and stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, man, I want to smell good. Out of nowhere, I wanted to smell good. And my first signature scent that I became in love with, that I picked for myself, you could say that about Beyonce Heat, but that I was actually like, man, I really want to try this scent because I was into fragrances, was La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL. And this scent blew my mind. This was not the first fragrance that I tried. I did try, you know, Versace Eros, and it was nice, but it didn't really fit me at all. But then this scent, I myself could not get enough of. And every single time I wore it and I was meeting with people and I was hanging out with people, they were like, you smell so good. I love the way you smell. And it was just like a mouth-watering sort of scent when I would smell it on myself. And even my sister, because we smelled it together for the first time, she was like, that is the sexiest thing I've ever smelled. And I'm like, this thing is crazy. So it's a cardamom fragrance. And yes, it dries down a bit sweet, but I honestly, like, I find it to be more fresh than people give it credit for. So this one was just in my heart for months. You know, I wore this maybe from November 2020 up till maybe summer of 2021. Like, I was using this a lot. There were other fragrances already in that time that I was rotating with, but when I wasn't doing fragrance videos and I had to go out and just wear what I wanted to wear, this was my go-to. And this was a fragrance that people around me knew me by. And I just love it so much. Even till now, I really do enjoy it. And it has a very special place in my heart. So Nuit by YSL. So this one stays my favorite for months, right? Until I get my hands on a sample of Ambre Nuit by Dior. As you can tell, this sample is finished. There's maybe a little bit of juice left. There, you can kind of see it. But the first time I got my nose on this, whereas I opened it like this and I smelled it, my eyes went wide and I'm like, this is mine. This is mine. Because my sister blind bought Fève Délicieuse. And I was like, can you get a sample of Ambre Nuit because I want to try it. I feel like I'm going to like it. And when I smelled it, I was like, it's over. I need this fragrance. I love it so much. I went through this sample and I was trying so hard to save some of it because I didn't know when I would get a full size. So I would wear it to every party that I was at, any social gathering, even when I would just go out for lunch, for dinner, even me just going out to the beach in general. When I wanted to, I would throw on this fragrance and it would just wrap me up in a hug. I was like, this is me, you know, it's just, it was very like joyous every single time I wore Ambre Nuit. And when I would go out to parties and stuff, people are like, what are you wearing? You smell really good. And I would say, it's Ambre Nuit by Dior. And they're like, I never seen that one, like when I go to Macy's or Sephora. And then that's when I found out, you know, with the private blends, you can find them mainly more at like Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, but for the most part at local malls, you won't be able to find the private blends of designer fragrances. So I was in love with this. I finished it and maybe a month went by that I dreamt about it almost every night, you know, until one of my followers on Instagram was like, hey, what fragrance do you want? And I was like, oh man, you're so nice. And then I told her Ambre Nuit and she was like, done. I'm sending you Ambre Nuit. And then she gave me this one. So she got it from me, from Dior's website. I'm like, you are fucking incredible. It's like, thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. So I made a pretty good dent in this bottle already. And I wore this nonstop. Even if you go on my TikTok page and then you kind of scroll down, all my signature scents, like my scent of the day, like a lot of those videos were this fragrance right here. You know what? I didn't care if people were like, oh my gosh, like you're still using that as your signature. You still like that fragrance? Fuck yeah, I love this fragrance. You know what I mean? I'm going to stay honest about it. And a lot of my followers went out to buy it. Followers went out to get it for themselves. And they too love the scent. They're like, there is something about it that just hits. And I'm like, you get me. So Ambre Nuit was my signature for a long time until a couple weeks ago. I've used this fragrance maybe once or twice since my newer signature scent came in, but nonetheless, I love this fragrance down to my core. So my current scent, you all can guess it. I won't keep you long with it. Tuxedo by YSL. My follower, man, was it Joe? Oh, gosh, one of my subscribers sent me a bunch of samples and in it was Tuxedo. And the first time I smelled it, I liked it, but I wasn't too crazy about it until the next day I tested it again. And I was like, oh man, this smells pretty good. And I remember walking around and my sister was like, whatever fragrance you have right now smells fucking good. And I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one feeling that way about it. So I wore it also like every single day during, was it like Thanksgiving week? The whole month of November of last year, I was just wearing that fragrance. You know what I mean? And I just was trying to save the juice, but I finished it and I was wearing it around my girlfriend. And even though there was no more juice in it, Like, she took that small sample home with her because she loved the scent as well. So she knows how much I enjoyed it, and she ended up buying me a bottle, the big bottle of Tuxedo, and I've just been wearing it nonstop since. Okay, there's fragrances that I have had honeymoon phases with where I'm just like, okay, I love this, but then I don't really reach for it, and then I'll go back to it every once in a while. But scents like this and Ambre Nuit and La Nuit de l'Homme are ones that, like, regardless of what comes in, it's very hard to top these, like my personal favorites. So I'm currently wearing this as my signature scent. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your signature scent journey from whenever your passion for this started, or whatever the first fragrance you wore in general was. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.